Hey, this is David from Big Bits, and this is the Bitcoin Weekly update. We had a short video last night where we kind of discussed Bitcoin and its recent movements, and really the weekly close, which is happening, well, this just happened a few minutes ago, is a pretty big influence on the thoughts that we had, or that I had yesterday. And let's see kind of where we are now daily, and we'll zoom back out to the weekly. So on the daily, I marked this idea down on TradingView that we would likely see a retest of the 200-day. It did retest, but as you can see right now, the 200-day moving average is at 8.4K. It's this yellow number up here, 8,417 right now. So it did retest. It looks like it's going to be rejected. I was kind of having some wishful thinking that it would reclaim that 200-day moving average and then it could really bounce on the weekly. That doesn't appear to be happening. So what I'm really looking at is, and I drew this a couple days ago, I'm looking for this kind of movement where the stochastic RSI is going to drop back down because the price is going to continue to dump now that it has retested former support, turned it into resistance, and probably moving price down. But as always, these things are unpredictable, but this is just where I'm kind of leaning towards on these ideas here. And I was hoping, and I even drew these lines the other day as well, that we could end up building some sort of divergence. Now this is just a random line. The divergence could be like this, or well, like this, or if things get really bad, the RSI can do like it did when it broke from 6K and go down, come up, and then really shoot down again. And then we would have to be hoping to build a divergence like this. So definitely a lot going on right now. The longer we stay so oversold here, the more concerned I am the price is going to continue to go down. Of course, that's kind of what that's going to mean, because that's what's going to keep it oversold. And as if the price continues to push down, you can see when price just continued to push down, when it finally had that break, it continued to push down again and was oversold and oversold. So that's just something to keep an eye on the daily. But my belief is that the prices are going to continue to press down some, and there is some support in this area between here and the 50-week moving average. And let's actually zoom back out to the week now so we can take a look at that. All right, so this is our weekly chart. Let me clear these drawings out of here. And you can see on the weekly chart that we have our 50-week moving average here, and our 200-week is all the way down here at 4.6K. Now the 50-week also happens to be where a lot of volume is at for potential support. So I'm using the TradingView volume profile. You can see there's quite a bit of volume here below, right around where that 50-week moving average is. So let's actually zoom out. You can see aside from way down here, there's actually a lot. The 100-week moving average is actually up here somewhere. Let's show that one again. It'll be the red line. Okay, yeah, so it looks like actually the 100-week is what held support. I haven't even noticed that at all because I haven't been looking at the weekly chart so much, at least not with the 50, 100, and 200. Let's change that back around to where we had it before. Okay, excellent. That actually kind of changes the way things look in my opinion. Like we might actually kind of go sideways somewhat. We might continue to go down. And let's hope we can hold this 100 week, because it looks like it did hold this previous week. So that is something new that I haven't noticed before. Pretty neat. And if that doesn't hold, of course, we're looking at the 50 week. And if you're looking for a very bullish signal in the long term, you're wanting this 50 week to cross over that 100 week. And it looks like even if price were to stay flat for the next few weeks, that they would come pretty close to intersecting. If price doesn't go below the 50, then we'll be doing pretty good. Wow, that's actually pretty interesting. I haven't paid any attention to that. Let's go look at the BLX chart, which has a lot more history to it. And let's see when the last time the 50 crossed the 100, and you'll see why this is such a good thing. All right, let's go back. Okay, this was all the way back in May of 2016. All right, you can see when the price breached the 100 week, came back down to test it, and then eventually the 50 week came up and crossed over, and we went on the major bull run. That's pretty interesting. I will probably add a post about this on my TradingView profile, because that is very interesting that we just happened to find support on that candle right at the 100 weekly average. So that's pretty cool. But you'll notice the weekly still doesn't look great. That's why I think price could continue to kind of slip. I think over the next week, if we can continue to hold that and the price ends up right on the 100 week again, the MACD is continuing down. The momentum is going to probably continue it down at least till probably it gets back down to zero again, honestly. And stochastic RSI is probably going to stay oversold for a couple more weeks at least. It's hard to overcome these huge red candles like this. There's really a lot of pressure that you're going to have on the buy side to overcome something like that. So definitely is going to stay oversold, and the RSI is fairly neutral. So if the RSI can actually stay in this neutral range, that would be very good. All right, let me drill back down to the daily again. Okay. Okay, so the BLX hasn't updated for the next day. That's okay. But that's pretty interesting stuff about the weekly chart there. And I am definitely kind of encouraged to see it hold support on that 100 week. And I mean, there's a lot of people out there saying this is all very bearish, this huge drop, and it is, no doubt. But the fact that it found support at something that could be considered a key level is nice to see. It didn't just blast through all the support that it had in one shot. So let's switch back. Let's actually move on to Ethereum now. So this is the weekly. I like to go over some more of the altcoins here, and this is the daily chart on Ethereum USD. It's honestly about in the same shape as Bitcoin, although I'm not sure what the supports are here on the weekly chart. Let's take a look at that. Does it have any? It's holding near the 50-day, but it looks like it's closed below it. So maybe there's some sort of other average or level here that's holding it for now, but it's not looking too great right now. No, not looking too great versus the USD. All right, let's take a look at it versus Bitcoin, because there was one thing I was looking at here. This is the weekly chart. Weekly actually looks fairly good. MACD crossed up, RSI left oversold, and stochastic RSI is still rising quite well. Zoom into the daily here. Okay, yeah, so this is the idea I pointed out, that it is trying to switch the 100-day moving average from resistance to support. You can see when it first hit the 100-day moving average, it failed to close above it, but it went down. It kind of retested the 50-day. It didn't quite get there, but it bounced, and that's what you wanted to see. And the price actually came back above the 100-day, tested slipping back below it, and is still kind of holding above it. So if it can do that, it has a pretty good chance to shoot up towards the 200-day moving average, in my opinion, even though the MACD looks like it's losing its momentum and it wants to cross back over. That's entirely fine. Just because it's losing momentum doesn't mean it can't regain it very quickly. You'll see, like right here, it had some momentum, it lost it, and it gained it back on the MACD. Even though the prices went sideways, and this would be a completely different example, it is very possible, and it does happen quite often. You just have to be mindful of the scenarios that are going on around you. But I'm very excited. To me, and I wanted to make this point in the video, I kind of forgot, but to me, it looks like the money's kind of shuffling. from Bitcoin to the altcoins right now, the key altcoins, because you'll notice there's a lot of altcoins that are in a similar position to Ethereum, to where over the last few days and weeks, they have managed to come up to their 100-day moving average. And on the weekly chart, zoom back out here, this is versus Bitcoin. On the weekly chart, they have flipped their MACD green. Their stochastic RSI is rising, and they're heading towards their 50-week, or, that's what, the 350-day average. So definitely something to look at here. There is room for growth. And you'll also notice that that 50 is also where some support used to be and might be resistance now. And you'll notice this on some other charts. But it does look like it has a chance to continue to go up here. I mean, I've personally been averaging in on it. I can't tell you to do that for yourself, but out of all the altcoins there are, I have a hard time betting against Ethereum. I really do. Okay, let's move on. Another one I like is Basic Attention Token. As I mentioned, it's kind of in the same boat as Ethereum. The MACD is crossing over, and you'll notice Ethereum is a much higher level altcoin, or in much more regard than Basic Attention Token. I mean, it is just a token after all. So you'll notice that it has already crossed over, whereas Basic Attention Token is about to cross over. I mean, just another week here of another green candle here, and it'll probably cross over. The difference is, 13 Satoshis right now. That's nothing. Stochastic RSI is rising. There is potential here, and you'll notice, just like with Ethereum, there's that old support that was around here that might act as resistance. But just like with Ethereum and these other altcoins, if it can overcome these old supports and break that resistance, then there's no telling where it's actually going to stop. Could we be entering the shuffle period where money leaves Bitcoin and goes into altcoins? Perhaps. I think let's look at the dominance chart in just a moment, but you'll see I think money is shuffling from Bitcoin into alts, and then I think alts might kind of shoot up a little bit, which is why we're getting this movement on like the weekly and stuff. But I think before the bull run really starts, personally, I don't think alts are going to hit these huge highs that they did before. They're going to make some good profits, and then money is going to shuffle back out of alts, back into Bitcoin, and I think that is going to be the catalyst that could potentially move it back up to its all-time highs for Bitcoin. I think people are taking, or have been taking profits at Bitcoin, in Bitcoin when it was consolidating for the last several months, and they were kind of averaging in on altcoins, and you can see the momentum for altcoins is coming back. So that could very well be it. Basic Attention Token I really like. Let's zoom into the daily and see where it's looking. Yes, it's firmly between the 50 and 100-day moving average. Everything's kind of tight here, pretty neutral. Can't really get a great read on it now, so you got to kind of wait until it breaks. It looks like there is some resistance right here, which is also in line with the 100-day for the most part. So if it breaks its 100-day, then it'll probably be a very good sign. And like I mentioned, it's a little bit behind Ethereum. So if Ethereum holds its 100-day as support and shoots up, then I think likely after that, Basic Attention Token is very well likely to break its 100-day and continue to shoot up after that as well, even though it might have to retest first. All right, let's see what else we got. Let's look at Ripple. Not a huge fan of Ripple, but let's check it out. Okay, yeah, it's in pretty much the same spot as Ethereum. Pretty much exactly the same spot as Ethereum. It hit its 100, tested its 50, and it's trying to flip that 100-day moving average. You can see, and I think this is pretty clear if you look at a lot of them, and I have looked at a lot of them. We just might not be able to get to them in the video, but when you look at a lot of these altcoins, you can tell there's tiers. And I think Ripple and Ethereum are on the second tier of altcoins, and you can see they look like they might be forming a little bit of support. And if they both shoot up to their 200-day, because the charts are uncanny, the MACD, the RSI, the stochastic RSI, all of them are about the same for Ethereum and Ripple. And you'll notice there's no coincidence that those two are two of the top, 3 or 4 market cap coins. So I think that is my sign that I take that money has left Bitcoin and is shuffling into altcoins. And that's one of the reasons why I think personally that altcoins are going to have a good period here in the next couple of weeks. And then before they break out a very huge amount, money is going to shuffle back into Bitcoin, hopefully, as it makes its move towards its all-time highs at 20,000. Now, it takes a few weeks for Bitcoin to consolidate and the money to shuffle, but then it's going to shuffle back, in my opinion. And the charts look good for it. It doesn't mean it's going to happen, but that's just my personal theory here of what's happening. And I mentioned in my other videos, you have to think of the people who control the market. They want to make the most money possible. So while Bitcoin is dropping and you're making everyone think Bitcoin is falling and that altcoins are worthless, you've already made people suffer 90+% drops in altcoins. Why not make some profit on all these altcoins that are down 90+%? And then once you make double your money back on that, put it back in Bitcoin, send it back up to all-time highs. Why not? There's a lot of money out there, and the people who have the most of it, they can really move these markets however they want to. All right, let's go back to something else here. And we are doing a live stream, so if you are watching, you can leave a message in the chat, by the way. I'll try to look over there. It's on my other screen. All right, let's take a look at another one. Let me pull up market cap on my other screen here. Litecoin. How can I forget Litecoin? Okay, so versus Bitcoin, it seems to be in that in another tier here. It's not quite up at its 100-day moving average, but it might be a bit of an outlier because it did shoot up quite a bit earlier this year due to its halving. But it doesn't seem to be in a particularly great spot right now. That's just very honest. On the daily chart. On the weekly chart, not bad. I gotta say, that's honestly not bad. The momentum on the MACD has, well, let me get it out from behind my head. Let me make sure you can actually see that. Okay, so the momentum on the MACD has slowed down considerably. It's completely flat. Now that doesn't mean it won't continue to drop, but it's been oversold for quite a while on the stochastic, and it very well could be changing momentum. This might not be something I look at this week strongly, but next week, if this cross looks inevitable and these are continuing to go up, and this is just going to take a small green candle on the weekly to convince me, honestly, that it's going to continue to go up. It looks pretty good. Most alts look pretty good on the weekly chart, and Litecoin is no exception here, it appears. Yeah, very good. All right, let's take a look at a couple more, and then I'll talk about a couple of things that I really wanted to get into here. Let's see, Dash. This one will be interesting. So this is Dash weekly chart. This one actually looks really good. It has been oversold for quite some time. Might be creating that divergence that we were talking about with Bitcoin. The MACD has crossed over already. Stochastic has started to move up. There is some support potentially. And let's see, wasn't Dash listed on Coinbase Pro? is. Excellent. I'm kind of surprised about that. But Dash was listed on Coinbase Pro. I thought I'd read that. So, if you're not familiar, whenever something gets listed on Coinbase Pro, it ends up getting listed on Coinbase. It's usually just a matter of time. Most people aren't willing to get into Coinbase Pro because it's like a real exchange, and a lot of people on Coinbase are just people who don't really care. They just want to buy some crypto or sell some crypto. But the way that Coinbase works for those people who just want to buy or sell some crypto without having to look at the order books, they have to get it into Coinbase Pro because the order books that Coinbase uses are Coinbase Pro. So when you're exchanging something on Coinbase, what's actually happening is Coinbase is placing an order for you on Coinbase Pro and charging you the fees, and that's where those fees are kind of coming from, is basically that service charge to do that trade for you on Coinbase Pro. At least that's my theory. I haven't read into it too much, but you will notice when something gets listed on Coinbase Pro, it almost inevitably becomes listed on Coinbase. So Dash is actually looking really good for me with that news. And it's going to be big to be on an American exchange. It really is. Oh, let's look at the daily here. Did I not look at the daily? Okay, it's actually looking like it might be getting rejected at the 50-day. So the daily not looking too hot. But weekly, I don't know. Maybe not the worst time to average in personally. Yeah, that daily is not looking too hot. We'll see. All right, one more. Let's look at Neo. Trying to find one of the charts that has a longer history here. Let's just go Binance. It's got quite a bit. You can see it's kind of in another tier of altcoin. It's pretty much the same chart as Dash. You'll see it shot up, went down, and came back up. I think a lot of the people who move the money in these crypto markets basically have a group of coins that they target. And you'll see this one appears to be in the same group as Dash because its chart looks almost exactly the same. Whereas Ethereum and Ripple looked a little bit more positive. Yeah, this doesn't look too hot. It honestly doesn't. Let's go to the weekly. And here, just like Dash, it looks decent on the weekly. There's no support, at least on this chart. I'm not sure how far back Neo goes, on which charts it might have more info, but it doesn't have much support at all. Well, none on this chart. Let's see about Bittrex. Yeah, it has a long way to go before it can find support, so maybe not the best one, but we'll see. It has been very oversold for a while on both. Momentum has come up. We'll see where it is, but it is a top 21 ranked coin on CoinMarketCap. It doesn't mean anything though. All right, I know I said one more, but I do want to look at Nano because I've had my eyes on it for a long time. Now I know it was released during the peak on Binance of the altcoin mania. It only hit its 50-week once and was rejected pretty hard, but it is getting that momentum on the MACD up, touching oversold levels again. It might not be a terrible spot, but like I said, there's no way to tell where your support really is here. So this is probably in like a fourth tier of altcoins that is probably going to get love last because it has had very little. It hasn't even crossed over its 50-day moving average, let alone the 100 like some of them. So you can see there was that. I mean, there's Bitcoin. First of all, it's head and shoulders above everything. It moved the market first. Then you have Ethereum and Ripple, which are above their 100-day moving averages. Then you have Dash and Basic Attention Token, which are holding above and between their 50 and 100. And you have the ones like the last two, Neo and Nano, which are stuck below their 50. and they could all move up at once, or they could take turns moving in groups of altcoins like this. It's hard to say. But, oh, I hope that wasn't stuck behind my head. I'm sorry about that if you couldn't see the indicators, and it looks like they were just on the edge. I apologize. Oh well, it was just the RSI and the MACD that you couldn't see, I think. So it's not too bad. Overall, there's a lot of hope. And let's go back to Bitcoin just one more time. Go back to that weekly chart. There's your hope. That 100 week and the 50 week. You gotta hope those hold. And I want to show you one of the features I'm working on with this indicator that I'm coding in my indicator development series. Let's look at our forecasting. Let's take a look. You'll see right now, if the price were to remain flat here, the 50 week would continue to move up, but the 100 week would start to dip. So let's see what would happen if price were to go bullish. They still look like they might intersect. So the 50 looks like it might cross the 100 sometime in November or December. Let's go to bearish here. Even if price gets bearish, let's change the magnitude here to 0.5. Yeah, even if it gets bearish, you're looking like if there's any sort of bounce here, the 50 week could cross over the 100 week moving average by the end of the year. And you're hoping it finds support, of course, at least above the 50 week. But yeah, that's pretty good to know that it could, and I think that will set up a longer move. That could be the next bull cycle if we get that cross back up. And as I mentioned, it's going to require a bounce of some sort above support here. But that's really good. All right, anyway, there was a couple things in the news I wanted to talk about. Let's see. This one, I talked about this the other night. The dude wanted to tokenize his guaranteed money in his NBA contract. The NBA apparently told him no, which, go figure, you want to do something with your money, you're not allowed. I don't really understand it. I mean, I guess you're working with the NBA. You need to follow their rules. If you want that money, you got to follow their rules. But at the same time, if you want money up front, I don't see why you can't take a cut out of what you would have gotten to get it all up front and pay everyone else with your guaranteed money as it comes in. I don't see why that's such a big problem. I think really the only issue here is that the NBA doesn't want to be associated with cryptocurrencies or tokens because it has a negative connotation with ICOs, and that's all there is to it. Otherwise, I thought it was a pretty good idea. I don't know why he would have took that cut in order to get the money up front. I mean, I don't see why he couldn't live on greater than $100,000 a paycheck, most likely. But he wanted it, and I don't see why he shouldn't be allowed to do it, honestly. I think it's kind of dumb. All right, and so there was a bug on the Lightning Network, which apparently has been fixed. I'm not involved with the Lightning Network. I don't run a node or anything, but I do understand that they have channels and things, and payments get settled on the Lightning Network, and then they get fully settled on the actual Bitcoin blockchain. So I think what was happening here is that somebody would say that they were paying, but they wouldn't actually pay the full amount. I'm not really following this, but essentially there was a bug where people could say they spent money, but actually not spend it. That's what I understand. But apparently it's being taken care of. But this is a good reason why you should be kind of weary of, or leery or cautious of these second layer networks until they get fully fleshed out. There are a lot of potential concerns with a second layer. Bitcoin itself has been around for greater than 10 years with excellent network security. And for now, settling your transactions on the chain is very cheap. And Lightning Network isn't entirely necessary just yet. So if you have a transaction you care for and you do not want to lose or risk at all, I would not suggest to use Lightning Network yet. This is just my personal opinion, and as you can see, there are definitely still issues with it. So it's your risk to take. Now this is very interesting. Over the past few years, we've seen malware come up that mines cryptocurrency for the person who writes the malware. But now, I don't know why I haven't even thought about this, but essentially, this malware can detect when you're typing in a crypto address and it'll replace it. So that's pretty interesting. So if you're typing in an Ethereum address, 0x, all these hexadecimal characters, it'll replace it. So when you go to send the transaction, you'll actually be sending to the address that they want. So it's really interesting, and apparently it works with a bunch of other things where it's going to collect data, apparently in a Telegram group or something. I don't really understand why they do it this way, but it was designed and developed on the dark web for $40. It's pretty interesting, and it keeps you mindful of what to look out for, and always double check where your transactions are going. I would recommend probably not to use a web browser, and to use a client application or a hardware wallet, more preferably, to send and receive things. But if you're good, and you think you're in control of things, then by all means continue. But thank you all. This has been a little bit of a longer video. I don't see anything on the chat, and that's completely fine. We're just kind of getting started here. I have a couple of videos coming out this week. I'm working on getting some more content ready. If there's anything you'd like to see, please let me know. Please like this video if you like it, especially if you're watching a recording of it. Please subscribe. Check out my TradingView profile. This can be found in the description of the video. And you can see I post the ideas that I talk about here for the most part. When I get time, I try to post all of them here. And I'm also posting all of the scripts that I'm developing in the scripting development series here as well, so that they're all public and open source. And even the forecasting that I showed you, where we were trying to predict when the 50 would cross over the 100 week, you can actually see that that open source code here. So take a look at that, and I definitely appreciate everyone for watching, and I will hopefully see you soon. Thank you. I played the wrong video. Here we go.